In just the last couple of months, we've seen some really amazing technology develop, right? How many people have seen this one? It's quite famous. This is the Amazon Prime Air. And Amazon is actually testing the use of the drones. And you guys saw the drone that we had, right? The one I have is a toy. Right? So it's a really fun toy. And there are some restrictions where we could use it. I bought it in the airport, actually. And they told me I wasn't able to test it in the airport for obvious reasons. So there are certain locations where you can't use the drone. But here they're actually testing it to deliver goods within 30 minutes, less than 5 pounds in weight. Right? So can you imagine what happens to the retail industry if they are able to execute on this? Also in terms of the post industry, right? Postal deliveries. This one, how many people have seen this? Heart in a box. The heart in a box is a device, it's basically a tray where you can revive the heart of a dead person for the purpose of transplant, and you can keep it alive for long periods of time. Which is quite fascinating if you think about the concept of what we can do with these types of technologies. And we talked about 3D printers at the back as well. Some of you were curious about what kinds of material you can print. There are even 3D prints of actual human parts. So you can 3D print a ear, for example. If someone's lost a ear in an accident, right? You can actually reuse the tissue from the person and grow skin grafts and 3D print. So you can actually replace your ear technically with your ear. Right? So the impact on the medical industry is actually quite fantastic. This one, you must have seen this. This is the Robotic Chef. The Robotic Chef is actually a very interesting device. It can mimic the cooking movements of a Michelin chef and cook you the meal that he's cooking right in your own home. So imagine what happens to the restaurant industry, basically. Food, tourism, right? It makes, and this is one of the key things about disruptive technology, it makes things that used to be inaccessible to the masses available to you now. And we see that as well with the smartphone, for example, with the iPhone. There was a time when the iPhone was so expensive and inaccessible. And today, practically everybody's got one, except those who decide to use Android. Do you know what this is? This is called a Tektite. It's a tattoo. It's a non-permanent tattoo that you can put on yourself, and it's able to control different devices, and it's also able to produce biometric data. So for the medical industry, for example, you could use it to regulate your biometrics and connect you to doctors, for example. It also could be applied for smart home applications. So you walk out of your home and you can kind of control the heating in the house and the lightings. So it's quite an interesting piece of technology that's available today. These are self-building blocks. Basically, they are pre-programmed to build themselves. And if you can think about the possibilities of something like this, if you can pre-program buildings, for example, to build themselves, what happens to the construction industry? What happens to the workforce behind that? Also accessing areas that have been through natural disasters, places that are inaccessible. If there's a bridge that's been destroyed, for example, it could rebuild itself. So the possibilities are endless. It just comes down to how we can apply them, how creative we are. Finally, we have, this one was announced just this week. Microsoft announced basically it's a hologram. And it's a technology that allows, they use different cameras to allow you to basically project yourself 3D into a different room. So people actually feel that you're in the room with them. And one of the key purposes for this now, that's being used now, is for meetings. So big companies, instead of sending employees to travel to different locations for meetings, they can have a room where everyone comes in virtually as a 3D object, right? But this is stuff from the science fiction movies that we used to see from Star Trek in the 60s, where beam me up, Scotty, and stuff like that. It's available today, and I find that so exciting. What has happened is These technologies, the accessibility of the internet, the availability of devices, the low costs, have created a new type of consumer. Right? The behaviors have changed, and we have seen now a new consumer 2.0 develop. These consumers are omni-channel. They use various types of channels. They are sophisticated. They are connected. They are informed. And they are basically proactive. They want to get involved with companies. They want to come and tell you how to design products and services that are interesting for them, what they need, how they want to use it. The question is, how much have companies changed?